Yeah, there continues to be a buzz around the Vandy program. Things are rocking and rolling at an all-time high for Vandy. We go part 2 with Kurt Page.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, well, you just heard part 1 yesterday with Kurt Page. We welcome him. We continue on with Kurt Page, talking about Vandy's culture overhaul, how the quarterback situation is going to go, how the coaching is kind of finally falling in line. The program is in really, really good shape with Clark Lee and the new changes. We continue on with Kurt Page. Enjoy.
You're right. So Vanderbilt is now involved in a lot of different areas that we weren't even scratching the surface on. So it's a better experience for all of people that are wearing the black and gold, from the coaches to the players to the trainers to everyone. And administrators, have to know that they are doing their best job yet. Now more will be given to once we start producing, and we're already doing the producing part, mm-hmm. and they know they are. So that's an exciting thing. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting.
Very, very exciting. And now the summer crew is arriving. The guys that couldn't enroll early from the transfer portal, the freshmen that couldn't enroll early, Diego Pavia being one of those. He's rolling in. He's got a new jersey number. He's switching from 10 to 2.
Okay.
There's a whole new swagger when it comes to number 2.
Okay.
And he's already
on the loose. Deuce on the loose. And he's already. I mean, he comes in with a truckload of swagger. Yeah. Now you get him in jersey number 2. Yeah.
Ooh, better watch out, man. Like, Diego Pavia is going to have these boys rolling, and you better believe that they're out there throwing. He's out there with the route sheet. And Jerry Kill is like whispering in his ear saying, hey, run this, run that. And Pavia's probably like, nah, I got it. You're good, Jerry. Right. Go relax. Yeah. Don't be stressed out yet. You just wait till August for you to be stressed out. I got this. You go do your thing. I got this. And he's probably teaching those guys more than they've learned in the spring.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have a guy that's played in the system and knows the system and knows what's working and what worked in certain ball games and specials, or openers, and just you're a play caller yourself, so the inner workings, and you can get a guy out there that knows the back, like your back of your hand. How good is that going to be? And then in the game, during the game, he may come back to something that they tried 2 years ago that did or didn't work, and bring it up, and Virginia Tech hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
If I'm Virginia Tech, I'm like, okay, do I buy this, or is it going to be the 2-10 team? And they don't really know, because there's not a preseason game,
No, there's not.
So it's going to be, we have the best opportunity to win that football game that we've ever had opening the season. Now, it could all, unfortunate things could happen, but you know what? That's what they've already planned for that. They've eliminated the emotional interference, so they're ready now to run what they want to run, do what they want to do, attack where they want to attack. And like you said, with the offensive coaches taking charge of the offense, which should have already been happening, Yeah. It's already been happening. Like the weight room, the strength coach, he should be, that's his room,
And he is commanding it.
That's what they do, They control the room. They take care of the room. They demand high standards in that room. And so Clark Lee's, he's building a culture and he's building people, and that's what it takes. And so now the process is already in the book. So like you said, it's going to be exciting things. What they can use, that 13.5, that 2.5, they can use that as motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would use it for. I'd use it for motivation and try to best myself to where, okay, that's how much you believe in us, and then go at it, attacking that at that point. And so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. It's going to be healthy for Nashville. What a best time. Get a victory. Stadium renovation is full-fledged going. It might even boost up some more people to say, hey, maybe we need to do more. Maybe we can do more. Am I doing the most I can do financially, emotionally?
Mm-hmm.
Am I? What else can I do to help? And that's where Vanderbilt has always been, and what a great time to be in the SEC, and for them to stand up for the SEC.
For sure.
They're going to get a lot of good vibes are already filtered in. They're only going to get better and more good vibes going forward.
Well, no doubt. And I brought this up on a previous show too. And speaking of good vibes and things that are going to go in their favor, I brought this up on a previous show as a possibility for this offense to, have another component, because like Pavia is going to take a beating, right? And we probably talked about it a little bit. And as they develop and as they kind of go through all season, as Pavia kind of trains Nate Johnson for whatever, like we said, Diego Pavia is the bridge, whether it's 12 games, 4 games, anything kind of in that realm. Nate Johnson's got to be ready to go. And I think I could very easily see with what Nate Johnson's able to do, for them to get him going early and often throughout the season in packages. And then as they develop him and the other things in practice, if something were to happen to Pavia long term, you go to Nate Johnson. But I could see Nate Johnson coming in for some option stuffs, a couple RPO things that he's good at, and sprint out, so that, it's not like 2006 Tim Tebow where here comes Nate Johnson, let's put 9 in the box and here we go. Because he's more than that. And I think in a way, this sounds crazy, but in a way, I think a 2-quarterback system could work.
Absolutely. I'm 100% behind you on that. That is doable for Vanderbilt. We have 2 special guys, one guy that's got speed and explosion, and then we got another guy that's a savvy, wily veteran that knows, I'm gonna line up in the gun and it's 3rd down and 1, and then I'm gonna shift and go underneath center, and I'm gonna take the quarterback sneak, and I'm gonna plow for 5 yards and start. And then you got a kid that can come in with speed, explosion. He can get on the edge. You can get him under center. You can roll him out, run the back in the flat, put the pressure. There's so many creative ways to get both quarterbacks. If we say we have what would you say, 75 snaps in a game?
Yeah, I would say 65 to 75 snaps.
Okay, so say if we could go 45 or 50 snaps for our first guy, and get the rest 15 or 20 snaps, and both of them will be happy. I mean, both of them are going to be great teammates because they understand. There's an understanding. There's not going to be emotional interference between those 2 guys. No. Their job is to lead the team and to score, get first downs and score touchdowns.
Right.
Whatever how we got to do it. And that's what the creativity. And I think that's what Clark Lee has finally got. He had something similar with Mike Wright 2 years ago, but it wasn't really, He
didn't have another guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have an identity either. That was kind of what was missing.
Right. Exactly.
You didn't really know what you wanted to do. So it's like kind of like waste.
Yes. Yes. So it's so looking at all of it, I think we're in a great position. And now it's just how much stronger can the guys get? Can the receivers really, if we got to go down the field with it being explosive play, can they do it? Can we get linemen out in front? Can we run jailbreak screens? Can we do things like that? And I say yes. So now we're cooking with peanut oil. You know, we're not just one flavor. You know, we can do a lot of little different things. And you know, as a play caller yourself, Corey Burton, Coach Burton, sure. You know, you can do multiple things. It's just a matter of when you want to call it or when you want to run it. You know, and then when you run it, then now you set up a pattern. Now you sit down and you go, okay, we showed that on the second possession. Let's show it the first possession, and then now the defense thinks they have this, and now let's flip the script and run a few plays that Diab, what he usually runs, let the other guy run them. You know, so I mean, they can go back and forth, and then now having success. The opposing team will be, you know, there'll be some doubt. You know, well, they said when he got in, that's
all you need.
Yeah. So that's what we need. We need that we need them to slow down a step, you know, and for us to gain a step. And we've had so much emotional interference in the past couple of seasons with coaching and playing, and you can see it. You identified it immediately when you watched them on the field. You went, this guy is getting open, but we have no plan to get him the ball. You know, he's just running great routes and wide open.
What are we doing here?
I mean, that little slot receiver, he goes to Georgia, you know, and they know how to that guy. You know, they got a kid in the program. So, it's exciting times. And like you said earlier, every step that you talked about, they have done. So it's just a matter of what are the next few steps. And we have to, you know, we've acknowledged what they've done, we've accepted what they've done, and we trusted what they've done. And so that's what the coaches, with that experience of bringing those offensive coaches in, has really freed Clark Lee to be a more well-rounded head coach that is a defensive-minded head coach. So everything fits. It fits.
Awesome. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. There's a lot of features I love. There's a lot of things that I love. Obviously, the NBA Finals is going to be a fun matchup. But there is priority last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And if you're looking for last minute tickets for Boston versus Dallas, you're in for a treat. There's also flash deals that come ahead of a game or event. So like when you click on the app and you're looking for it, there's some good flash deals there. Zone deals, like you choose a section, let Gametime choose the seats. That's really, really good. All in prices. When you toggle this feature on, it shows you the total up front. So there's no surprises when you buy. So, but this one is my all-time favorite out on this app. You get a panoramic view from your seat. See, I'm getting all excited talking about it, right? So you click on your seat and you're like, oh, I don't like this view. I'm gonna go to a different section. Like it gives you the view, so you're not surprised when you get there. They also have the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So Gametime ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN? Are you tired of all the shouting? You have to turn down the TV. Well, look no further than Locked On Sports Today. It's a 24/7 streaming channel dedicated and programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV Channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It's a puzzle. I've always used the analogy of a puzzle. Like there's ways to go about it. Like Vandy's using the puzzle route. They're getting specific pieces to fit together in a puzzle. Teams like Georgia are just going to avalanche you with talent.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously well-coached scheme to go along with that talent. And they're just going to avalanche you with that. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it a lot of times. Vandy is choosing to, and there's multiple ways to win. Like you can get a perfectly constructed puzzle and you can go out there and play winning football as well. And that's what Vandy is doing at this moment. Now, with their NIL potential and with some success, could they ever get to a point where they could avalanche if the administration ever bought in as fully as some of these other schools within our conference did? They probably could, because you're in a up and coming booming city in Nashville.
Right.
You have a lot of endowment money. You have a lot of NIL possibilities. And you're in a region that's bustling with star athletes, right? Georgia can't sign all 104 stars out of their own state. So you've got a few down there in Alabama. We've got a few here in Middle Tennessee. There's a few in Kentucky and Arkansas, Mississippi. Like they can really kind of expand their recruiting a little bit at the high school level. Mix that in. Like what Ole Miss has done with the portal. Now Ole Miss is national title contenders.
Yes.
Never thought I'd say that, but they're national title contenders because they dominate the portal and dominate NIL. Vandy, again, call me crazy, but Vandy can do that.
Yes.
If they decide they want to.
Ole Miss, Vandy, traditionally, you can talk to anybody that's played at Vanderbilt or anybody that's played at Ole Miss. Those you have hit the jackpot. Those are the two comparison programs that are very, very similar. The only difference has been one has been in the East, one has been in the West. But they are both similar. They are always either middle of the pack or below the middle of the pack. There's been seasons on the rise where they've rose to that attention. Well, now Ole Miss has figured out, okay, maybe we don't have 100,000 people in our stands. So we're going to, like you said, they're going to major in the portal. And they're going to have the best nucleus of all the tier 1, 1A that are in the portal. And what better way? And the thing about it in the portal is, and people have forgotten about, they are student athletes and people laugh about it. But like if you go to college for a year or two and you're excelling at, say, New Mexico State, I'm sure that every one of those guys that transferred in has either graduated or is on track to graduate. Because we're not going to print up some dummy certificate of graduation at Vanderbilt. So that way you at least see, okay, that guy has, he's taken these legitimate courses. He's on track to graduate. Let's get him in our program. And so let's have a little success, and then let's go do this again. But let's do it, like you said, maybe a little bit more. Instead of, capping it, if there is certain a cap on the transfer or NIL portal type of thing, maybe let's raise that up a little bit, or let's get more high school players, or let's really track high school players that go to, like kid I coach, he's at South Alabama. So, we look for him to have some meaningful reps this fall as a true freshman. What if he doesn't get his 4 games and he has a redshirt season? What if he plays very well in those games? He could be very attractive for a school like Vanderbilt or a school like Ole Miss in the transfer portal. That's what's going on now. I mean, it's a great time. Everybody talks how negative all this is, but for us, like, we never can get a 5-star player unless it's, one of the former players' sons, our coach. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So.
Well, Vandy just got an offensive lineman, not to cut you off, but Vandy just got an offensive lineman out of Minnesota that was a 4-star, but couldn't crack the starting lineup.
Okay.
He's got a chance now. He's a big 6'5", 310 athletic tackle, but just couldn't quite. And Minnesota's a respectable Big Ten program too. Right. So it's not like we're pulling some guy that couldn't crack the lineup at Southeast Missouri State.
Right.
No disrespect to Southeast Missouri State, obviously, but we're pulling somebody from the Big Ten program that was in, that just couldn't quite get the playing time that he wanted for whatever reason. Got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to come to Vandy and have a chance. Vandy also, their niche can be, let's go to these FCS conferences. Let's pull some of these all-conference FCS guys, like the cornerback they just got, Marlon Jones from Eastern Washington, all Big Sky. Yes. That's out of left field.
Yes.
But it's brilliant because he's a great coverage guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. And we've got somebody now that's leading that department of scouting.
Yeah, director of college scouting, Harding.
I mean, that's how innovative.
It's the NFL model.
Yeah, it's the
NFL model. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah,
but it's taking over. But Vandy's riding the wave instead of fighting the wave, which is a new outlook for them.
Absolutely, yes. That's
brilliant. It's great. So, when you construct a defense, okay, like I've always seen, and this kind of stood out to me. This was interesting, not in a good way, not in a bad way. Just it was interesting how Clark Lee is just kind of building this defense, because usually you start up front and you build back to the secondary. Like usually secondary is like one of the last things you address. Like every defensive coordinator, every defensive coach, every defensive-minded head coach is like up front. Now, they've got a couple really good pieces out of the portal up front, and Corday Sidnor and Zaylen Wood. Don't get me wrong on that. But when you look at the whole of the defensive front, you got those two and Langston Patterson, and really that's all the star power you got. There's some guys that can perform, and I think that will perform within this new scheme, because it's going to be a lot of motion and a lot of almost kind of like positionless defense, where you're just kind of moving guys around. But like the emphasis that he really put on the back end, getting Randon Fontenette and at safety, got three corners: Mark Davis, Marlon Jones, as I just mentioned, all Big Sky, and Colby Taylor out of the portal to induce a level of play out of the current guys you got. CJ Taylor's going to move back and forth between safety and linebacker, and you add some of those pieces.
I think that is the guy that's going to be our, if you wanted to say, like our Heisman Trophy guy.
And Maurice Hampton also at safety from LSU and Memphis. Yeah,
but I think having CJ Taylor in the box and playing more physical, I mean, as a knockdown safety, as an outside linebacker, bringing him on pressures, I mean, sending him places, matching up. It's all about matchups and getting three corners out of the portal. Now you have two on the outside if they're legit. Then you put a guy inside, because
I think Colby Taylor's your guy inside. He's 6'4". He's big guy.
So really, I think he's tried to get more athletic, more speed on the field,
and that's why he's building backwards.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening, because, like you said, the puzzle where we get hurt are matchups, are one-on-ones, and so to see that in practice, you've got to go get some good players, and we've done that with some. And so now they're getting those reps all through spring practice, all through pre-fall practice. So everything's going to be lining up that they're going to be able to match up. Just like you said, putting the puzzle together, because we got to be able there. Every SEC team is going to have one or two guys that are playmakers on the outside. Doesn't Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, everybody's got that number one dog, number two. They got those type of players. So we've got to go match up with those. We can't let that one or two guys just dictate, like, they're going to run a reverse with that guy. They're going to hand off to that guy. They're going to throw quick screens to that guy. We got somebody that can hit him in the mouth and line up and say, I got this, Now, if they bring extra people out there and if they bring people out there to work on him because we can control the situation, then that weakens the offense inside where they want to run the ball, where they want to run the zone, the counter, the sweeps, that type of thing. So
yeah,
I think he's getting the coach this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's seeing what he needs, and he's seen from the spring, I'm sure, where he's tweaking this or that or putting this guy, like you said, C.J. Taylor. I mean, that guy, this may move him way up to the front of the line for the NFL draft. I mean, that's what you want in that league. You want a guy that can play in the box and then can guard somebody. So it's going to be exciting.
He can certainly do both those things. He's extremely versatile. That's like kind of the adjective of the entire Vanderbilt athletics program is versatile. If you can describe somebody as versatile, it's a good fit for Mark Byington in basketball, Tim Corbin in baseball, Clark Lee in football. Being versatile is key. So what I really like about the offense and the defense, both, to kind of sum it up, is I think both coordinators, Clark Lee being the head coach, do a good job of creating space and finding space versus constricting and moving space and manipulating the space to where you want the space to go so that you can attack it. And being able to do that defensively is going to make you dangerous. And I heard an interesting podcast. It was a very interesting format where it was essentially a bunch of these NFL coaches and Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan were, famous for their in-house battles. Like they would get some knockdown dragouts at practice because, Kyle Shanahan is very innovative offensively. And now Robert Saleh, as a result, came from that Seattle system of like Legion of Boom, like we're going to play 3 deep and we're just going to come after you. And that didn't really work against Kyle Shanahan's stuff and Sean McVay's stuff. So he had to kind of morph it into like wide nines, being able to play quarters behind it, things like that. Well, it's just when you talk about modern football, all they talk about is on defense, how are we going to constrict the space and dictate where the offense can go on our terms and moving that space so that we can account for people attacking that space. And offensively, it's how can we get you to think we're going here, but we attack there, and really just kind of manipulating where that space is or changing the space that they're attacking by stretching those windows. And it's all about, and I think we finally got coordinators that kind of understand that. Absolutely. Is the point of all of that. And so I'm for one, I'm excited about it because you can rest, you can watch a Vandy game and know that, okay, and even though every series is not going to ignite for, 8-play drive for a touchdown, but you can see, ending every drive in with a kick. Right. I heard Josh Niblett talk about that. Right. End every drive with a kick, whether it's a punt, a field goal, or a PAT. Right. A punt means you can still kind of dictate how the game goes in your favor by controlling field position. PAT, field goal, obviously you're getting points out of the deal. So like ending a drive and a kick is important. Turnovers are bad.
Right. More games are lost than won. And when you turn the football over and you give the other team momentum and give them a chance to really stick a knife in your back, and attack you, that's what you do when you have the turnovers. And eliminating the turnovers and making it by, punting the ball, kicking the ball, doing those type of things, anything self-inflicted is never good. So emotional interference is self-inflicted, It's emotional. People are not pulling the same direction. So what you're saying earlier about movement of space, you will see that, and that's what when I watched New Mexico State, watching that game versus Auburn, they knew where they wanted to go with the football. They knew where they were going to attack Auburn. Auburn was very generic I mean, it got the offensive coordinator fired, Philip Montgomery. That's the game that did him in. I mean, basically, they pay the team millions of dollars and they lose to
They
them.
manipulated Auburn.
Oh, yeah. So in all three phases, in the kicking game, defensively and offensively. And so that's the proof that Clark Lee has seen, and the players. I mean, if you got a skin on the wall and win an SEC West and winning a game there, it's hard. It's hard to win games at Auburn. I mean, it's hard to win games at Georgia. But they went in there and won. So, and I say, like we got the whole team, but we got the nucleus of their team.
We basically got the whole team and the whole staff. I mean, we are the Vandy State Aggie Doors. I don't say that. I don't say that very sarcastically. There's a lot of truth behind that. But
Corey, the way you described the 49ers and some of their coaches going after each other, that is
it forced them to innovate.
Yeah, that's exciting for us, because now when you sit there Saturday afternoon, that like we're going to be doing some exciting things.
And Jerry Kill and Tim Beck and Clark Lee are all doing the same thing. Yeah. That's the hope.
Yeah,
and
it's got to be that way. We've seen when it's not good.
No, it's not.
Now we have a chance. The beauty of it is they know what good looks like, and the players they're now seeing what good looks like. There's nothing better than teaching from that standpoint of where you're catching champions and not catching criminals. When you're catching criminals, you're finding everything bad that we're doing, stuff that's not working. Let's really try to fix that. Heck no, we're catching champions. This is the stuff that this quarterback and his receiving core does well. Let's do that. When this quarterback goes in, this is a thing that he does well. When we put C.J. Taylor inside the box, this is what we expect you to do, C.J. They're having these type of discussions with their players right now, all through spring, and now there's recapping going on in the summer, and that's an exciting thing because you have described everything to a T, and was not able to. That was not able to happen in the previous year. So that's how much progress we've made. So now time for them to, keep rehearsing, keep practicing, keep training, and get themselves ready for the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Exactly. 13.5-point underdogs. So before we get out of here, the Vandy boys, they're in a regional. They somehow pulled themselves up by the bootstrap, got hot at the right time. Now they're a 2 seed in the Clemson regional. How do they advance?
Well, I think we have, like you said earlier, we have a lot of injuries. I'm not fully aware if we're going to get a few of those guys back, but we have the best coach I think he's the best coach in college athletics right now, with Nick Saban retiring. I mean, that guy does more with less than anybody's ever done and built it from scratch. And so the beauty of that is Clark Lee had a chance to sit in that room as a player, and so he knows Tim Corbin's model. So I think the Vandy boys, it's no better time than now. For them winning a few games in the SEC tournament just proved to them. I mean, I'm sure they ran out of pitching, they ran out of healthy bodies. I
think pitching just kind of fell apart there at the end because they were just gassed.
And the Tennessee gets the number 1 overall seed. So
I think North Carolina ultimately got the number 1 overall.
All right. So, but
Tennessee was right there.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing again, Corey. We play in the SEC. So
11 teams.
Yeah.
11 teams in postseason play.
Wow, that's exciting, man. That's
11 out of 14.
Ball too. That's only wishful thinking and positive vibes.
Let's get 6 in the tournament for football and represent the league. So let's get one of those as Vandy. But yeah, I think I'll talk more about it. But pitching is going to be king in the postseason. It always is. You got to hit a little bit. You can't not hit at all and expect your pitching is going to win 1-0 games all the time. But pitching, the team that has weaker pitching when everything else is equal, pitching wins out in the postseason.
Yeah.
Always wins out in the postseason.
You know what? I mean, you're with Atlanta Braves background. I mean, you've seen what good baseball looks like, no doubt.
Yeah, seen what great baseball looks like and what elite pitching looks like. Greg Maddux, I don't think ever had a hitter to a 3-0 count outside of an intentional walk.
Right.
That's what elite pitching is. So, and he could tell you exactly what he was going to throw, and you still couldn't hit it.
That's right.
Yeah, they asked him about sign stealing. He goes, I don't care if they know what I'm throwing. I'll tell them. They're not going to hit it. It's going to be a cut fastball in the outside corner, 88 miles an hour, and you're not going to touch it.
Right.
He goes, you're not going to. I don't care. You can. I'll tell you. I don't care. That's how good he was.
Yes.
And there was another stat that I saw there that was insane. For baseball, they had like 4 pitchers. I think it was John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, and somebody else. They had a combined like 12,000 strikeouts, and they faced Tony Gwynn, I think, a grand total of 500 appearances, and for 500 at bats, maybe more. They only struck him out 3 times.
Wow.
12,000 strikeouts between this group. They only struck, and combined, they only struck Tony Gwynn out 3 times.
Well, he's the best player San Diego's ever had.
Mm-hmm. One of the best pure hitters in baseball history.
Best players of all time. The Negro leagues today, I think, or yesterday, soon they're going to be major league records from here on out.
Yeah, and like Josh Gibson, that's exciting for Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige. Like Josh Gibson was a monster.
Yeah, yes.
He was a monster at the plate.
So excited. Well, I mean, well overdue.
Definitely well overdue.
Great baseball players of all time. They can all get the same
category. Like, there's no reason like those records shouldn't.
Yes.
Like he did way more. Then and people can say, well, it wasn't Major League Baseball then, but still, like, you hit that many home runs, it's that many home runs. I mean, the ball still has to leave the yard. There's still good pitching. You have to hit in baseball. You still have to swing the bat and hit the ball.
Exciting times. If I'm sure there's some baseball major league purists that don't like it, but it's well overdue in my opinion.
Baseball purists they're realizing that they're evaporating their own sport.
Yes,
they're evaporating their own sport, and it's a shame. So anyway, well, that's going to do it for us here on this Locked On Vandy extravaganza. Kurt, man, this is fun as always. I know you're barnstorming around the country right now. You're in Jacksonville, Florida. You're in Duval. Yes. So make sure you go visit the Jaguars. Carson Beck's down there working out with his receivers. Go enjoy. There's a place called Clark's Fish Camp. Okay. It's in Jacksonville Beach somewhere. I couldn't tell you exactly where it is. You'll probably have to Google it to get the location if it's still even running. But Clark's Fish Camp, it's just it's like you have to intentionally find it. Like, you're not going to stumble upon it. Amazing. I'll go look. Amazing. So go there. Yes, and this is certainly not the last time. This is not even the second to last time you're gonna be on with us. You're gonna be on with us plenty between now and for however long I'm doing this show. So, Kurt, thank you. You're amazing. Enjoyed it, Corey, as always, and just like the way you brought the program through and identified for just the average listeners you give them football nuggets and that's what your strengths are. So I'm glad you're doing that for our people in Vanderbilt, because it's always about what you're learning and how you're growing, and we've got to learn and grow as fans as well. So that's what Locked On Vandy is giving us opportunity to do. We're all growing together, and Vandy needs a voice in Nashville because they don't have one. It's all Vols, man, and I've got to change that. So thanks, Kurt.
All right.
Anchor down, everybody. We'll see you back here next week. Have a great weekend. Peace.